Hello, hello. So, so I think we can firstly to talk about Battle Rise. Can you speak?
Hello. Everybody
Yeah,
can
yeah,
hear
yeah.
me? Yes.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for having Battle Rise on the Megaspace. We're grateful to be here. Um, so I'm Matthew Nagy. I am the COO of Triumph Games and Triumph Publishing. And our first title that we are releasing on the Tezos blockchain is Battle Rise. Battle Rise is like a game of Dungeons and Dragons in the palm of your hand. I am a complete Dungeons and Dragons and computer game nerd. and, I've been in the computer games industry for quite a long time, nearly 30 years. I was the designer of Die Hard Trilogy and Alien Trilogy many, many years ago for PlayStation 1. And that got me into computer games. But after setting up our own companies, I work with my wife, Pearl. She and I set up Triumph Games to make Battle Rise because we wanted to put Dungeons and Dragons in the palm of people's hands. And we wanted to do it a very specific way. We wanted people to be able to play with each other and play against each other. One of the exciting modes that's going to be coming up is being able to partner with 4 other people as a team and play the game together. So this is, really exciting stuff. But, we chose the Tezos chain partly because we met somebody who became our product champion for Tezos, who's Rowan. And he was telling us he kind of told us about the chain. And he said, it's one of the least expensive gas fees on the network in the blockchain space. And it is started open source code, which is kind of fun and exciting. And it also has the ability that as they upgrade the blockchain, we will never have downtime. And I love that because there's nothing worse than, having to announce downtime to your game audience. We're going to have downtime Saturday night for an hour. What if they want to play that hour? So, it's another reason that we really, really just happy to be here and happy to be on the chain, happy to be one of the games that is launching on this new push of Tezos to get into the gaming space. I'm really excited about that.
Amazing, amazing. I think you're very, very happy to join our AMA today, and you are very surprised. I pretty love your speak or what you answer, and we also saw a lot of good content creator and also gaming lovers come to our AMA today. And if you want to speak or if you want to any question, you can raise your hands and let's discuss together. And I'm also very excited to invite my best friend in crypto. He's very big Web3 gaming contents, and he give out a lot of alpha. Hi YP, how are you?
Hey guys, can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Nice. Yeah, what's up everyone? Yellow Panther here. Web3 gaming content creator, happy to support the space. We here to talk about gaming and all things gaming. So yeah, happy to also learn about some of the game building on Tezos. We have Battle Rise here. We have is that Sugarverse? It's very very cool. New games. So yeah, thank you so much for inviting me. And yeah, let's have a great chat.
Thank you YP. And the next is our Surgravers. Hello Surgravers. Oh, I saw a problem above me. You coming? Yeah.
Hey, hi guys. Can you guys hear me?
Yeah, I can.
All right, great. Sorry, was having some technical issues earlier. And Elizabeth, thank you so much for leading this before we sort out the stuff. So I guess today the topic we are discussing about what are upcoming changes to Web3 gaming after PTC halving. So as Elizabeth introduced, we have 2 influencers based on the space with us today. Elizabeth and Yellow Panther. And of course, there's a couple of projects that's already building on Tezos. And earlier, I think majority of you guys already heard, Matthew from Battle Rise. He basically introduced the game. And I guess, Max, the founder of MetaPulse. Do you want to go next in terms of the quick introduction of yourself and also what you guys are doing?
Yeah, sure thing. And also loving the energy of Matthew and the energy he's bringing to the chat. You can definitely tell he's in the morning where some of us are in the night.
Afternoon for us, yes.
But yeah, okay, cool. So I'm the CEO of MetaPals. So about 3 years ago, I did my master's, and my master's research was focused on our emotional connections with AI and how we'll evolve our relationships with AI going forward. And so what I discovered really was that as we consolidate a lot of the AI agents that we have into one or two different, I guess, like enigmas, like Siri, kind of like Amazon Alexa, we'll want to mask that in something that's familiar. And so what MetaPalace essentially is this universe of AI-driven companions that evolve and interact with you through this blockchain-integrated browser extension game engine. So in essence, we partner with some of the largest IP in both the Web2 and Web3 spaces. So think Hello Kitty or Axie Infinity, and we bring those characters to life as desktop and mobile companions that are interactable and form this essentially an AI assistant and friend to your daily life. And to follow on with Matthew, the reason we chose Tezos, and I think we get into it later on, but for us, Tezos was the most adaptable blockchain that we found, highly versatile in its purpose, but also so much iteration and change that you see under the hood that we're able to take advantage of. And as we're pushing the boundaries of a lot of different technologies here, from AI to blockchain to browser extension technology, we need a blockchain that's also keeping up with that pace. And luckily I found Tezos and Jason to help us out there. So yeah.
All right, cool. Thank you so much, Max. Nicolai, are you here?
Hello.
Hey, Nicolai, you can go next.
Hello, everyone. So let me tell you more about me and what we're doing. So I'm Nikolai, and I'm the CEO of Sugarverse. I have been in the crypto space since 2017, and I'm angel investor in numerous crypto projects, many of them in the GameFi space. So it's very interesting to be in this space with you guys. The founding team in Sugarverse is native to Web3 world, and we have over 4 projects behind our backs. And we are also founders of multi-million-dollar revenue tech companies. And we have a cool mixture of experience, both in crypto and in the gaming space. So what we are doing, we have also Web2 Gaming Studio, which is founded in 2006, a long way ago. And we have published 10 games so far, played by over 60 million players. Now we're refocusing to Web3 gaming with Sugarverse. We're building a 5-game saga focused on mobile casual games. And we're also going to build all those games Tezos first, and we're very excited to partner with you.
All right, cool. Thanks so much for the introduction, Nicolai. So, I'm usually the most boring one, so I'll go last. So my name is Jason. I'm basically the APAC gaming lead at TZAPAC, which is part of Tezos ecosystem. So very happy to be your moderator for today. And also Jeremy, he's basically the global head of gaming at Trilitech. I believe he's trying to join as a speaker. So once he's in, we can also have him as one of the speaker, and then he will be, joining us in the discussion as well, right? So without further ado, let's do this. We will start, the questions by talking about, Bitcoin halving focus question first, and then towards the end, we will start with more gaming specific questions. And when there's time still, we will leave the rest of the time to the audience to ask any questions, whether is it regarding, investment, gaming, or, what's the future for, or upcoming trends after the halving of Bitcoin, right? So first question, right? Could BTC halving have an impact on the economic models of Web3 games? Matthew, want to try taking this one?
Very interesting question. I watched the Bitcoin halving and watched the price of Bitcoin afterwards. I was surprised to see which way it has gone so far, but I do think it's really just a pullback and a sell off, and I do think it's going to go again. There are so many, because they were first, and so many of the tokens are somehow backed to Bitcoin. I I really see this next wave of investment coming in. The fact that the ETF was approved, I think is going to make, it made a lot of traditional investors very happy and very excited. So, I mean, the more investors come into Bitcoin, the more the world begins to adopt and accept that crypto is here to stay. The more investors will come into the computer game space, the Web3 game space. That's my opinion. I am not a financial advisor. But I'm quite excited to see what this next quarter brings.
All right, cool. I know Elizabeth and Yellow Panther, you guys have been, in the industry for quite a long as well. Of course, knowing that, you guys speak to many other investors, the community as well. So this question is more directed to the both of you. How do you think that, the halving of Bitcoin will influence investors' interest and funding in blockchain in particular with regards to the gaming sector? Elizabeth, you want to go first?
Oh, hello. Thank you for your question. And I think the Bitcoin is the top, so everything is below that. If Bitcoin goes pump, and all, I think the market will be very crazy and activity. So we must to have focus on the Bitcoin. And secondly, Bitcoin itself, I saw a lot some games they want to do some Bitcoin games. I think it's a difference. But I think Bitcoin, its ecosystem can combine against. We can also discuss later. Yeah, thank you.
How about YP? You gonna try, I don't know, taking this?
Yeah, in my opinion, I don't know, like Bitcoin halving is not so important to me, and it's not a very big topic that, me and my content creator friends and circle are actively discussing. And it is also already priced in, it's a non-event. And right now we're just focusing on what's coming up next, what are the games releasing. Like, for example, me and my community, Gaming Grid, we have been focusing on playing Seraph preseason. We have been playing Aperon. We have been playing a lot of games that launch with solid economy as well as solid gameplay. So in my opinion, gamers gonna game. Even yesterday I tweeted this, no matter bull or bear, we are still gaming. And yeah, we're just chilling.
Very interesting. Jeremy, I know you just joined the space. Can you hear us?
Hey, yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Jeremy, why don't you start with a quick intro of yourself as well?
Perfect, sounds good. So hey everyone, I'm Jeremy, head of gaming here at Trilitech, part of the Tezos ecosystem, responsible for the success of gaming here on Tezos. Before I joined, I was leading as a lead producer for League of Legends, as well as working on Garena Free Fire. So today, my mission is to make Tezos the best blockchain for games. And we'll do that by making it easy for game developers to build great stuff, and also easy for players to onboard and enjoy these experiences seamlessly.
Got it. Jeremy, now that you fix your technical stuff, what do you think about Bitcoin halving? Do you think that it will have an impact on the economic models of Web3 games?
Got it. So yeah, I think the impact will mainly be quite indirect. So essentially, maybe a quick primer for everyone, right? So Bitcoin halving is when the rewards that miners receive for validating the blockchain are halved. So basically, they get less Bitcoin for securing the network. So what this means is typically we see kind of three things happening when halving happens. One is that the price tends to trend upwards for about over the course of a year. Next one, we see a lot of price volatility, where the price of Bitcoin jumps a lot right before and right after. And then finally, we see also that a lot of new users come into the space because they see all the media coverage and they get excited and want to come in as well. So I think what does that mean for what does that mean for games, right, in this space? So I think there's opportunity when you're looking at launching your token and getting more participants into your game, because with this kind of upward trend of price increases, Bitcoin holders might be willing to take their profits and invest it in your games. The next one would be around like the volatility. So although game tokens and NFTs are quite very risky, the outcome of those tokens are quite different from the broader crypto market, right? Because as Yellow Panther said, ultimately value of the tokens will be tied to how good the games are. So as long as your game is great and it's actually serving a real player need, then you don't have to be as worried as much. And then people who actually want to diversify away from the general crypto market can can actually invest in you if they believe in your game. And then the final one, I think again it's quite obvious, but with new users coming into this space, I think it's a great opportunity to show them the real additional utility and use cases for blockchain. So similar to again what the great games tier today have shown, whether it's RPGs like Battle Rise having unique NFT collectibles, Sugarverse with their PvP with NFT characters as well, or MetaPals with their AI companions with unique kind of companions secured by the blockchain and made unique by the blockchain. I think all of these things are great opportunities to get more users into your ecosystem.
All right, thank you so much, Jeremy. So the next question, what strategic adjustment should game developers consider in anticipation after the halving event? So this question will be more directed towards, the games that's building on Tezos. Max, you want to take this one first?
We're talking about the strategic investments that need to be made.
Sorry, I think you drop off a little. You chip off a little.
Apologies. What was the question?
What strategic adjustments should game developers consider in anticipation after the halving event?
For me, I think that I would probably take more of a philosophical approach here, because the Bitcoin halving, like I think Jeremy said, it doesn't have a direct flow on. It was Yellow Panther, a direct flow on the game itself, but it does welcome a whole bunch of new potential users, and it also matures the space. I've been in the space since 2016, so this is not our first rodeo when it comes to halvings, but generally speaking, they follow a similar pattern in terms of introducing new models, more adoption, and then introducing more of this blockchain market to new players. And so from that, I guess all the considerations would be focused around onboarding new users into the space, and so enhancing the user experience. But in general, it's actually just about balancing a lot of the in-game economies, the play-to-earn models to be more sustainable, and orientating more of our, underlying economies and mechanics for more of a Web2 moving to Web3 space. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks, Max. Nicole, I know you've been in the space for a while, investing projects as well. What's your thought on this?
Okay. I think a lot of the things that Jeremy said, they're actually very important, and the macroeconomics is very important also for all the parties that are involved in the crypto space. So I think there won't be immediate effect to the crypto world after the halving event, but because the world is not working like this. But you must know that miners' break-even point currently is around $80,000, and it was before the halving in $40,000. So I presume that the price will steadily go up, but this will happen in the next couple of quarters. And I think there will be huge price discovery until end of the year. And as Web3 participants, we are strictly looking for those microeconomy. And all those new heights for Bitcoin would definitely put many new eyes on the Web3 projects. And in this case, also the Web3 games. And in my opinion, GameFi is the biggest driver of crypto adoption through non-crypto users, because this is very important. Because to get your price up, there should be more users, more people that haven't bought until now Bitcoin and other crypto tokens. And it's hard to explain Web3 financial tools to non-crypto users, but it's very easy to adopt a game to those non-crypto users. And actually, over the past bull cycle, around 45% of all transactions were made by games, not by other industries in the crypto space.
Got it. That's very interesting. And I think, Nicole, what do you think, is the next big event or the upcoming trend you foresee after halving, right? Yellow Panther, you'll be answering this as well, but Nicole, you can go first. What's your thought on this?
Yeah, absolutely. So there are a lot of short-term events like Bitcoin, Ethereum ETFs in Asia. They're coming in a lot more new countries, not only Hong Kong, but a lot of other Asian countries, also Australia, are gonna have those ETFs, which is gonna bring more crypto adoption to the market, to the normal companies, to the funds, etc. But I think as main drivers of the industry in the next couple of years would be three industries. So AI, definitely. Also DePIN. And I think most interesting would be the GameFi, because of the reasons that I already said. GameFi is very easy to onboard million users, and the others are not so easy.
Got it. And Yellow Panther, what's your thoughts on this? What's the next big event or upcoming trend you foresee after this? I know you mentioned briefly mentioned about this earlier, but if you could dive deeper, I think that'd be pretty nice.
For me, it's not gonna be much of a crypto event, but more so in the niche of Web3 gaming and the development between different gaming ecosystems such as Tezos, Immutable, and so on, versus the games building on top of them. And what I'm seeing across the ecosystem is that they have a lot of grant, and the market, the competition between the market share between these gaming chains are very fierce currently. We have Immutable with $50 million reward grant, and then we have Arbitrum with I don't know how many $1 million ARB grant to boost and accelerate games. So that is the bigger event that's happening within the gaming ecosystem. But on top of that, if we dive in deeper, I'm saying that, guilds, the tech plays, recently, I think 3 of the biggest guild have, maybe two of the 3 biggest guilds have already rebranded to a tech play, right? GuildFi became Zen3, and then IndieGG became KGen, right? And then we have YGG on top, continuing building on their tech play, which is a on-chain guild system. So I think personally thinking user acquisition through guilds and all these tech play is a very crucial part. It's not gonna be a very big event, a very sexy one, but it is gonna be happening behind the scenes, and it'll be interesting to see how all these tech plays and guilds, built from 2020 and 2021 come into play in terms of helping user acquisition and growing the numbers as a whole, for Web3 gaming. And yeah, I think these 2 events will be good. The rest is really just like I said, more games launching. It's not gonna be closed alpha, closed beta. It's gonna be official launches.
That's interesting, very interesting, Yellow Panther. I mean, since you touched on the topic of guilds, I'm pretty sure you know Engine 8, and they recently launched their own chain as well, right? What's your thoughts about that? Do you consider this as one of the big events as well?
Ancient 8, yeah, I mean, definitely, props and kudos to any gaming chain that, ecosystem or / guilds that wanna open their own chain. But personally, I'm not that deep into Ancient 8 and what they're doing, so I'm not too familiar. I am more in my own lane, and didn't really pay attention to that.
No worries, all good. Thank you so much for answering this. And now we are at the end of the Bitcoin halving focus questions, and we'll be gearing towards the gaming focus questions right now. So the first question will be towards Max and Matthew. What do you guys think are the most technical and ethical challenges in integrating blockchain technologies and the Web3 aspect into traditional gaming paradigms? Max, do you want to go first?
Sure. Yeah. In terms of blockchain, there's a ton of challenges that need to be done and overcome to integrate. And the first and foremost one would be the transactions. Naturally, in traditional games there are millions of transactions that occur, and as gamers we expect almost instant transactions without any delay. And you don't realize until you kind of start building a game that there's just like so many different transactions that need to be processed, and it's an intricate balance of deciding which ones are on chain, which data can be processed off chain, and then what data is just purely off chain. So that's one big technical kind of problem that you have to overcome. Then from a personal standpoint with MetaPals, dealing with the implications of IP. So I think everyone here knows Pudgy Penguins and how a lot of these NFT projects are talking about this fractionalized IP and being able to kind of sell your NFTs rights, right? To merchandise and to resell it. But then the implications of that from a legal standpoint is actually quite interesting. And it poses a lot of different problems, especially when you're talking about something like ours in which you're using IP in the next 5-10 years. And so what happens when that IP license expires? And then the NFT rights that are held within that smart contract. And then the last technical thing I guess you have to overcome is the user experience. Back in 2017, I remember sending my first Bitcoin fraction off an exchange into my cold wallet. And it was just like, you send it, it goes into this nether region. You don't even know what happened for an hour. And then an hour later, you just pray to God that it ends up in your cold wallet. And hopefully most of the time it does. But like that hour of delay is something that just the vast majority of people are not going to deal with. And then you take that into a gaming sense, right? In which you have to have an onboarding experience that is as seamless as Web 2, but then also have the benefits of that Web 3 aspect. So that's the technical side. And then from the ethical side, there's a whole other bunch of issues that need to be addressed. So in terms of, for me, I used to play CSGO, right? CSGO, there was a very small portion of players that would play for the purpose of getting skins, right? And then they could sell that on the Steam marketplace. But now, with all these introductions of game economies and the closer we are to tokens and play to earn mechanics, you have a much larger set of players that are there performing speculative behaviors. Play to earn, they're there financially driven to make money, versus those that are actually there to have fun and enjoy and add to the ecosystem. And so to balance that is going to be a very difficult thing for any Web3 game right now, especially ones that are using that tactic to get that user adoption. And then flowing on from that, I think if you look at something like EA, right? EA is famous for abusing, in a sense, the loot box system, right? And making it a little bit too much like gambling. But now you introduce these token models, and then it's almost like we're just completely going from loot boxes to quite literally a gambling system within the game. And so the implications of that from a legal standpoint, but also just from an ethical standpoint, is something that's quite interesting. And I see that a lot of people are going to be using that type of gray area gambling inside games a bit more. And the last point, I apologize for a little bit rambling, but the last point for me, for MetaPals, there's a lot of IP that we also work with that is geared towards kids. And so when we talk about like access and inclusion, we often think about people in the blockchain space, right? There's a certain demographic here, there's a certain age group. But as we move towards opening up the blockchain space and gaming to more people, then we also have to think about the elderly generation, but also kids. And so when can kids start using blockchain? For us, we are restricted. We can't offer blockchain elements at all to people that are younger than 13. And that's cutting off an entire demographic of people. And so those implications there are quite interesting to look into and figure out like, okay, when can we actually start making wallets for kids and what are the restrictions that need to be made there? Same problems that happen in the App Store, right? When Apple faced those problems where, if you remember those stories where a kid would buy like $2,000 worth of Clash of Clans credits accidentally on your mom's credit card, like those kind of stories. But this is much, much worse. Or the implications can be much worse. But yeah, I'll throw it over to Matthew.
That totally happened to me. Yeah, exactly. You've hit most of the points that I would have hit, I have to say. Technical, one of the things that we're, what we have found is Web 2 players, do not yet trust Web 3, and they just see Web 3 as some other form of money grab. Okay. Probably because they were basing it on, NFTs alone, and, there were these crazy sales of NFTs for millions of dollars and things like that. But, they just saw it as a money grab. And so, bringing Web 2 players silently and discreetly into a Web 3 game is a very interesting thing, and making kind of wallet hookups and things like that invisible. I think that's a fun technical challenge. We can't, if we do manage to get Web 2 players playing a Web 3 game, we cannot have them get stuck anywhere. I remember the first time I tried to make a Binance account and something went wrong and like I was stuck. There was nothing I could do. So I just gave up, I mean, that was years ago. Ethical challenge, so making what we call a stealth wallet. Every player in the game, as soon as they make an account with the game, they get given a wallet. Like that to me is like a great technical solution to help get, the Web2 community into Web3 gaming and without them even knowing it. But then the flip side, which you kind of said, a lot of Web3 players just want to get in and they want to just make money. And that's fair enough because, in certain countries across the globe, if you can stay home instead of having to commute 2 hours a day back and forth, to a job that pays you peanuts, perhaps literally, if you can stay home and play a game and make just as much or more, why not? Why not do that? So, but the ethical challenge on the flip side for play to earn is, I mean, something in Battle Rise that we're doing, we are making a free to play and earn or airdrop. Okay. That's kind of our genre that we're focusing on because it felt a little bit like having to spend $50 to $100 to $200 to get a couple of Axies to play Axie Infinity kind of created what I viewed as a kind of modern day slave market with some of the guilds. I didn't like it. I didn't like that. I appreciated that some of the guilds were willing to stump up in order to help people get into the game. But then that person was splitting their earnings with the guild to pay the guild back. Like it felt almost like modern day slavery to me. I didn't like it. So I wanted a free to play and earn game. I want people to be able to get in and I want them to enjoy the game. I want them to think it looks beautiful. I want them to play and think, dang, this is fun. And I got an NFT worth $50. That's really cool, and then putting an in-game marketplace so that they don't even have to leave the game to go try to sell it somewhere. They've got this captive audience of people who might want the item. And, so we've also, hats off to Ready GG, who are one of our tool providers and one of our partners. They've made this really cool in-game marketplace that we're going to be putting in that solves both a technical and ethical challenge in Battle Rise for us.
Thank you so much, Max and Matthew. So, how else can developers creatively address the scalability and sustainability issues inherent in Web3 gaming? This question will be addressed towards Max and Nicole. Nicole, you want to go first?
Sure. I first want to say that I'm not, I don't think it's the same as Matthew for all of it. Also about the crazy prices, and I think there were crazy prices also in other Web2 games like WoW and others, and there was like a dark market for those like heroes, etc. And it's something, when a game becomes very popular, I think it's something normal. I think the problem for Axie and other games that were very popular and with very high prices, like maybe Stepan and etc., for their NFTs, was that the people that bought those NFTs at very high price, they could never return their investment. So this is the biggest problem, because they lose a lot of money and then everything dropped in just a couple of months. So I think Web3 games should be built from scratch, and I don't see good enough way to incorporate into existing games Web3 elements without hurting the Web2 users or not getting any interest from the Web3 ones, because NFTs on top of a Web2 game isn't enough cool for Web2 users. This is one of the reasons why we didn't put in some of our popular games, which have over 30 million users, NFTs, and go raise some money for those games, because they will get exactly zero utility and most probably never have the return of investment back, those people that bought those NFTs. And maybe we will also hurt our Web2 communities, the normal players. So we're building something different to make sustainable economy, and we believe this could sustain and distribute our rewards in a long-term time frame with predictable return of investments and with just 1,000 daily active users. We have looked in many GameFi projects, and I personally have invested in many and lose a lot of money. The lifespan of those games is too short, from 1 to 6 months, and this is a big problem. And as already said, we like to make our games for a longer time period and to get new users and come and play our games in, let's say, some years. So we choose to follow another path where we build the games from scratch, and we're introducing a model which is very connected with the gambling. But I don't think this is very bad, because if we should be honest, a lot of the community in the Web3 are pretty gamblers. They are like very close to gamblers. And I think this could maybe attract a lot of new users from the Web3 community. And in the same time, we will push our games to be free to play, and everybody can start and play those games. So we can also hook up a lot of Web3 users and slowly convert them to Web3 users. And we're doing this by introducing also winners and losers in our games. So we're saying before even start, here are the rules. You can exactly lose your points or your tokens or etc. But you can also win.
Thanks, Nicolay. I mean, I like how you put it this way as well. I mean, of course, with your experience running a Web2 game studio, if I'm not wrong, with 60 million over, registered users, their experience will definitely bring a lot of value when it comes to Web3 games. Being so successful as well, in the Web2 space already when it comes to gaming, right? So yeah. And Max, on your point earlier, like, those who actually use their parents' credit card, to basically buy games and stuff. I'm pretty sure a lot of our listeners here, might be one of those who actually have done it before as well, when they were younger, right? So, obviously, when it comes to Web3, things could be different as well. But, let's see, right? So the next question, what role can gaming-centric communities such as DAOs revolutionize players' involvement and decision making in the Web3 gaming landscape? Yellow Panther, I think this question suits you a lot. Hearing from you earlier talking about YGG, GuildFi and all, would love to hear your thoughts on this. What role can gaming-centric communities such as DAOs revolutionize player involvement and decision makings when it comes to the Web3 gaming landscape?
Yeah, want to emphasize again, I think user acquisition is still a very key challenge. Two things. It's one, mainly pricing. Some of the user acquisition in Web3 is known to be more expensive compared to Web2, and it is fair, right? However, we still need to solve it, and how we can, over time, bring the pricing and value, cost per acquisition down. And the second one would be, although, a lot of the community are quote unquote, how do I say it, user centric and community driven, but when you look deep into it, like people like myself have been in the space, for almost 3 years now, and also have done a lot hands-on. I can quickly tell by just going to Discord which one are bots, which one are, actual authentic real people. So there are still a lot of fake communities who claim that they have actual users and stuff like that, but when it comes to activation, barely 20 people join or something like that. So it is still a very key challenge, because attention span in Web3 is ever so expensive right now. Even the content creator, our pricing right now is, the demand is through the roof, which it doesn't make sense compared to Web2. It's a demand supply kind of thing. So I think over time, when there is more demand for content creators, and then there is automatically more content creators to come in to fill the gap, to fill the, pricing gap. Currently, it is, it's very expensive to fight for attention in Web3.
Yeah, I think what you brought up is a very good point. Like the cost, CPI in short, right, to acquire users is actually really high. And, kudos to you for pointing out, like, the all of the committees, that might be out there, they basically say that they have the numbers and, again, when you go to market, everything shows differently, right? Elizabeth, what's your thought on this? I know you have been involved when it comes to, promoting games as well. Are you aligned with what Yellow Panther mentioned, or, do you think differently as well?
Yeah, I totally agree what Yellow Panther say. Nowadays, more and more games coming that we should also to figure out which is good, which is bad. Sorry, I'm get cold. Yeah, and I think the I think the secondly part is I think we should, it's more not the new things come out. I mean every games they're on the same time, they're RPG or they're doing the same UI. I want to see something new. Yeah.
Got it. Thanks, Elizabeth. And next question. What are the untapped potential, in existence for emerging developers and titles in the Web3 gaming sector? I think, Jeremy, with your background coming from Garena and all, I think Jeremy and Max, the both of you can take this. Jeremy, and go first.
Yeah, definitely. Sounds good. So I think Elizabeth's point around like just having something new and fresh, I think is super important. So we see some of the, in the Web2 space, the big innovations from MOBAs to what's it called, to auto chess, auto battlers, even social games like Among Us, right? All of these were succeeded because they felt so fresh and different. And so I think in terms of untapped potential for developers and games in the Web3 space, I think that it will look very different from what you see in Web2 today, right? And so my advice is also, to differentiate. You need to differentiate in a meaningful way. If not, you're just going to get crushed by the incumbents, right? If you do an FPS, you're competing against the top games from Activision with Call of Duty, Blizzard with Overwatch, and Tencent with Crossfire as well. Smilegate with Crossfire. So, all these all these companies have thousands of full-time developers, 20 years of experience building these games. It's going to be really hard to beat them, right? So instead, what do? You target new users with new use cases that are enabled by the blockchain, right? And so, just to use an example from the gaming industry in the past. So early in my career in gaming, I saw a shift from PC premium games to mobile free-to-play. And today, mobile free-to-play is 50% of the gaming market. It's the biggest segment of the market, right? And the biggest successful games on mobile free-to-play were not FPSs at the start. They were Clash of Clans and Candy Crush, right? Simple strategy games and match 3 games. It was very different from the top games on PC and console because those games fit perfectly with the technology, which was mobile, portable, short play sessions, smaller screens, and the business model. So free to play, where you could enjoy the game, you could have hundreds of millions of players trying it, and then buying power-ups and spending money over a long period of time. So in the same way, I think, the exciting blockchain games will be meaningfully different from what we see in Web2 today. At least, really relying a lot on in terms of the blockchain to differentiate. So again, using some of our esteemed games here as an example, MetaPals with the blockchain making each of their AI digital pets, digital companions unique, and then having tradable cosmetics as well. Then Battle Rise, so in the game itself, they already have roguelike dungeons, which is already an extremely cool innovation. And they're also making the characters and items tradable, which has always been a real use case and a real demand from RPG fans that might spend up to thousands of dollars to build up their characters and want to be able to try and switch the characters with other fans as well. Finally, with Sugarverse, I think they've already shared their plans to have interoperability. So we've not seen many cases of people being able to use something they've bought across multiple experiences. And I think this would really set them apart, both in the match 3 PvP game they're building, as well as other games too. Maybe one final point in terms of what I'm quite excited about as well, and I'm actively kind of looking for to build on top of Tezos. We're looking for like 4X of strategy simulation games You can think of games like Rise of Kingdoms and Call of Dragons. So these games have made like billions of dollars for their Web2 developers. And we feel like the target audience of these games are very similar to crypto users, right? They care a lot about kind of the community and the status within the community. They tend to be quite willing to spend heavily on the games. And as well, the game play itself is a lot around resource allocation, as well as managing alliances and communities. So all of which resonates really well with the average crypto user. So I think this is one area which we're really excited about, and we're actively looking for partners here as well. So that's it in a nutshell.
Yeah, Jeremy, whenever you bring up Rise of Kingdom, ROK, it reminds me of how much money I actually spent thinking back that I can actually buy a few RG Penguins or, BYC today. But yeah, ROK was really a fun game. Yeah. Max, what's your thought on this?
Yeah, I mean, flowing off from that idea that Jeremy talked about when it comes to free to play apps, that it's definitely something I studied as well during my masters in terms of the movement that we had in the app store when it comes to paid apps or paid games that suddenly converted into everybody being free to play because they realized that the pay part was just too much of a barrier to entry. And then, simple business models like 30-second or 60-second ads eventually evolving into more sophisticated models of monetizing the user whilst also potentially benefiting the actual gameplay experience. And that's what I kind of obsess about, the idea that you can actually have integrations with monetization and brands enabled through blockchain that actually add to the value of the user's experience whilst also being able to, in a sense, monetize it as well. So I think for me, my focus had been on this next level of immersive advertising. So you see with Roblox, right? There's so many businesses and big brands that are going in and creating the little Roblox worlds. Also with Fortnite and all of these type of games in which brands are essentially realizing that instead of just doing 30-second and 60-second ads, they can actually create these experiences that gamers actually want to go in, and they get much more exposure and eyeball attention than you would with a normal ad. And so the implications of that as we evolve is also connecting that directly with the user and the player rewards. Now that we enable this entire currency system, it means that when you display ads in a way that's immersive, interactive, you can link it directly to game mechanics that actually reward users for engaging in the brand more. Right. And that kind of scalability when it comes to rewarding players based on advertising, I think it's a really, really cool space. It's something we're trying to adopt with MetaPals, through our Quest system. It's a little easier for us because we're a browser extension, which means that we can just directly take people to different websites if they choose to go in this little sponsored Quest line. But I think a lot of games can look into that as well. And then, I guess the second part is user generated content, which is something we haven't talked about too much yet. But that side, I actually just yesterday I watched, if anyone is on YouTube, BBC just reported on the Fallout London mod. I'm not sure if anyone here knows what that is, but so Fallout, there's this huge mod community for Fallout, and there was this big launch coming out with Fallout London, which is a group of this unpaid team just decided to build out an entire city in Fallout 4. And then they just kind of got snuffed off by Bethesda, who didn't really communicate with them. But long story short, the point is, there is this massive mod community as well that, I guess more mature games, in the industry, in the Web2 space, began to see as a massive potential, as the gaming industry matured. And we'll eventually get there as well. The Web3 industry is a bit more newborn than that. But as we develop these bigger games, they'll be sponsoring more of those modded communities. I think that the implications of tying in a direct way in which these mods and these modded communities can benefit from monetization of the token economy, I think that really has great implications there, because it means that now, in Web3 fashion, the users become also part of the game development experience.
I know I'm kind of answering, I think, the next question, but I'm so glad that you brought that up. One thing Battle Rise is doing with our second NFT collection, because our first NFT collection in June is Founders Pass, but our second NFT collection is a dungeon builder mode, because modding and user-generated content is such an important way to grow the community into really exciting, to feel really vested in a particular game. So we thought we want to be one of the first mobile games that has UGC. So we are putting into the hands of our community the ability to build their own dungeons, complete with a little storyline as well. It's based around NFT packs that we're going to be bringing out in July. But the whole point of it is to create a really cool game utility where Battle, which is our game utility token, our launches. Wow, our launch pad's May 15th, and our listing is May 22nd. It's coming up pretty quick. If you want to get involved, anybody. But Battle becomes the entry fee to get into one of these things. Not a lot. And players, in order to keep it free to play and earn, players can get Battle within the game as a reward. But then they get to spend Battle in these other dungeons that people are creating. And then the people who created the dungeon get the lion's share of the Battle that is spent getting into their dungeon. So just a fun little economic loop that involves both NFTs and our in-game utility token, but has this user-generated content element to it. So yeah, definitely UGC is really important in the future of Web3 as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I love that. That actually really makes me want to make a dungeon in your game. I don't
Right.
think I've ever made one before, but yeah, sounds like fun.
Right. And then we've got a huge grant from Smart Europe that we got to do AI. So we're going to be putting the AI into the kind of narrator non-player character that the user chooses, and who's going to kind of announce the story, but he's going to be able to speak like a normal human being in any
Oh,
language.
that's like that if you've seen that Skyrim mod where people mod it with all the NPCs you can talk to them like with native chat, and then it's like
Yes.
connected to ChatGPT.
Yeah. Very cool. Very cool.
All right, there's a very interesting discussion between Max and Matthew. I mean, so I actually wanted to ask a few more questions, but I think in view of time, I will just ask one more question, and then we can look at the questions that people are asking, and for the rest of the speakers, you can talk about your projects and all towards the end of the session. So for my last question, really want to learn more from Nicole, and maybe Elizabeth can chime in as well. How do you guys look at tokenizing rewards and incentive contributing to a more immersive, gaming experience beyond just financial satisfaction, right? Where, a lot of people have been talking about GameFi, the FI part is definitely important, but, how do you balance this out? Nicola, you want to go first?
Yeah, absolutely. I think we can't go against the obvious, of course. Financial satisfaction is a big factor for players in the Web3 games. But I think also there is other parts that will attract more users to the Web3 games. And one of them is you should be very successful in your connecting to players and player communities, because this is the most important to get your game very very big and to have a lot of users in it. So I think making a huge storyline and with a lot of game wars in it is also gonna convert a lot of fans into a lot of players to your fans, to your game fans. And it would be easier with tokenized rewards, especially those in the NFTs. And they're making it a lot easier for us. And also those tokenized rewards are one step closer to merchandising our games. And we mentioned Pudgy Penguins and their success with the partnership with Walmart. And they sold I think millions of their merchandise. So this is a big value that could be added also on top of the financial satisfaction. Also, I think Web3 games could become very interesting for all kinds of players, because there is another big value that is nobody talking about it. And it's more in the mobile games. And it's that we can remove those annoying ads from our favorite games. Because you play 2-3 minutes and then you must watch an ad for, let's say, 30 seconds. It's annoying. And with the Web3 models, we can remove it. And I think this would be very huge user experience. I think.
Got it. How about you, Elizabeth? What do you think about, tokenizing rewards?
Yeah, I think tokenomics is very important part. I think every games in crypto they avoid to go to be a Ponzi. A lot of people buy and sell in this round, but it can avoid. So I think the most important things to do a good as the tokenomics of a project. Firstly, you to mining. If you buy the miner, you will spend a lot of time and you pretty enjoy the journey. Secondly, I think except the tokenomics, I think the gaming itself make people feel happy, make feel interest is also very important. Like I think next after Meta Post they do the games use a lot of IP in their Twitter or use in the website. It's very useful for the game player. They can feel fun, not just make for money. So they can put a lot of their love, put a lot of time, and put a lot of their they're also to share to their friends to join together. I think it's a more important thing. Yeah. Thank you.
All right, cool. Thanks, Elizabeth, and thanks, Nicole. So, we are coming towards the end of the space. So, I know if you guys have any questions, please drop them down in the comments below. So yeah, right now we have a couple of questions. So the first one, how important is community building for Web3 gaming projects? I would love to ask, the games that's building on Tezos blockchain, but Jeremy, I would love to learn and hear more from you about this one.
Yeah, sure. I'll do. I'm happy to share a bit of my thoughts here. So I think the short answer and the obvious answer is super important, but then I'll draw some examples and then maybe one or two actionable stuff as well. So two examples. So one is, I worked in Garena before and I worked on a variety of games there. And my ex-boss there, who was the one who actually identified and signed League of Legends for us and also recommended the development of Garena Free Fire. So my boss was actually the one who told me how to really identify a game that can be played for decades, right? Like League of Legends. And the answer, unsurprisingly, is community. So there's multiple researchers backing this up. Like when you play alone, the typical amount of time that you play League of Legends is probably a few months maximum. But when you play with friends, you end up playing for years and years because you leave and your friends drag you back, and it's just so much more fun with your friends as well, right? And the second one example is just a personal experience. So I played thousands of hours of World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy 14, and I actually ended up making real life friends with my Final Fantasy 14 guild, and we met up for dinner and drinks many times since we got together. And so, you really kind of build this community, and then the value of the community is so important, right? And so I think you need to have, if you have a multiplayer game, you need to have community in order to have long-term success. Now, what can I say about actionable things, right? I'll maybe point out two things. One, on the gaming side of things. So how do you actually build up a community? I think the first part, of course, can be centered around incentives. Airdrops, really rewarding your players for being loyal to you. And even the design of blockchain and crypto in general actually is set up to reward that, right? Because you're receiving tokens, and as your community grows, what your tokens and NFTs actually become more valuable as more people want to come in. So actually, that's the more financially driven aspect. But the next aspect is also really having a lot of interaction, right? Having live operation events, tournaments for your players, having spaces such as this to regularly interact with your players, and maybe even setting up, systems where you can hear their feedback and have them have input and improve whatever game you're working on as well. So I think that's really important. The second part, maybe speaking from a chain perspective as well, we are we're quite in a unique space because as a blockchain, we are both a technology. We are a bit like AWS, but we also have players and users who are fans of us as a technology and as a blockchain as well, right? So I think, really focusing on building up this consistent kind of narrative and then again, just bring high quality dApps to your community, I think is really what we're focused on here at Tezos as well.
Got it. Thanks so much, Jeremy. So next question. Earn has been the main catalyst for selling points of blockchain gaming, at least in the last bull run. What do you think is the new selling point of blockchain games in the new bullpen, right? Max, what do you think about this?
The new selling point of blockchain in the new wave of games.
Yeah, I mean, in the previous wave of Earn, right? With XE, with the Pen Arena and many more. The current, new bullpen. What do you think will be the new selling point? In other words, what do you think will be the next trend?
I think actually it kind of flows on with the whole idea of the community building from the last question and then Jeremy's answer. It's crazy to think that we've kind of like gone 180 when it comes to normally you'd build the product or the game and then the community comes. But now it's almost like the opposite where you have to build a community and then the game is crafted in conjunction with the community itself. And so even with these play to earn mechanics and this new, I guess I've been hearing a lot of narrative of play and earn, right? Or the bajillion other versions of to earn, blockchain applications. But I mean, fundamentally, the fundamentals of games and game creation don't change, right? You still need to make a very fun game that people will value add to, right? I think there's a lot of focus right now on, incentivizing users to come on because you can earn so much money, right? And I guess there isn't necessarily something wrong with that, but at the same time, there's an equal focus that needs to be put on how actually the value is added back into the ecosystem. Because if you're incentivizing all these people to earn, you need to also have players that are putting back in. And so I think hopefully as we mature, the focus will shift more towards that value add than the value abstraction. But that comes with a more mature model, that comes with more validation within the space. And so, yeah, I hope that we focus more on that play than the earn. And the earn is just a great benefit that provides players with that outlet in which, they can have this kind of side benefit.
Interesting you say that because, I'm very fond of this, statement. I've said it many times during some of our AMAs and things like that, which is, wouldn't it be great if you're playing this game, you're deeply engrossed, you love the game, you're having so much fun. And at the end, I think this is how we get Web2 players into Web3 games, right? And they're loving their experience. They're really enjoying, maybe they spend a whole hour playing. And when they put the game down and they come out, they realize they've earned $20. Like, wow, I just got paid to play this game that I love, and, in the West, that might only be lunch, but still it's exciting. Or, my friend is fond of saying his son it pays for his vape liquid. Yuck. Anyway, but in the East, in some nations, that's a day's wage. That's really exciting, but you've enjoyed the experience first and you earned afterwards. You earn during, but afterwards is the realization, so anyway, just a thought, 2 cents.
I agree also on this, Matthew. I think that Web3 games shouldn't be like your second job. I think they should be like 30 or 15 minutes of your free time and you spending them and in your leisure, and you're playing games for fun. And I also think that there should be no barriers for any kind of players to come and to join and to start playing, try those games, because currently a lot of those games, they have a lot of barriers, and normal user is like he doesn't like barriers. He doesn't like to create wallet before starting the game and try something new. And after you hook up your users, they're already excited, they like the game, then it's the time to convert them to Web3 users and to educate them what is a wallet, how they can earn, what is their earning potential, etc.
I totally agree with you. And there's one other thing that I think is going to win Web2 players to Web3, and that is the safe transmission of assets. My son played CSGO. He had a really rare knife. He was only 12. He had a really rare knife. Yes, I let my 12-year-old play CSGO. And he's like, Dad, I got this knife. It's worth $400. I'm like, well, that's great. How are you going to get the $400 for it? And unfortunately, he went to like a black market and he tried to sell it and he got ripped off. Bless him. My 12-year-old got ripped off. If that had been a game hooked up to blockchain, he could have brokered the sale of the item. And then because of the safety of the blockchain and the certification of the item as an NFT, there could have been that, instant swap where my son got his pay and the person got the item. I love this element of blockchain that keeps that kind of transaction safe.
Yeah, and he would be more hooked up in the game and play again and again and spend more hours in playing because he wants to earn another knife like that.
Yeah, exactly. I want to find another knife. Yeah, exactly.
I don't know. I mean, the first time I got scammed on RuneScape, it was an important growing lesson for myself that the world is harsh and I should be more cautious.
All right, got it. I mean, thank you so much for all this interesting discussion. And right now we are really towards the end of the space. So, any more, closing words, from any of our speakers? Max, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. It's an absolute pleasure to talk with fellow Tezos Gaming projects. We're going to make it together. It should be a fun ride, especially this year, as Jeremy and Jason are both absolute legends that will hopefully bolster this Tezos Gaming resurgence. In terms of MetaPals, we are launching our first major IP character collection, Teletubbies, this month. So keep in store for that. And then we also give anyone that has the Teletubby NFT also gets whitelist to our next IP, which we will actually be announcing on Monday. So stay tuned for that one, and it will probably break the news. I haven't actually told Jason or Jeremy this, but I will be making that announcement on Monday. Cheers.
How about you, Matthew? Any closing words?
I just want to say, thank you so much for having us. We are 2 weeks away from the public launchpad sale of our Battle Coin and 3 weeks away from the token listing. If anybody wants to get involved with Battle Rise, go to www.battlerise.com. Right now, there's something going on where just by downloading the game and linking the game up to the player portal and the website, you get a bunch of free stuff. So you get, effectively you get something called a battle crystal, which gives you free hard currency in game. And then if you come back every week, you get a bit more and a bit more up to the end with it's a special surprise. So, but if you guys want to get involved in the token launch, please, also connect to our socials. It's linktree/BattleRise. And get into our socials and you can find out how to get involved. Love to see you guys in the game. It's a lot of fun. Dungeons and Dragons in the palm of your hand. Thanks for having us.
Thanks, Matthew. Nicole?
Yeah, thank you for invitation for the invitation in the space. It was big fun to join and share opinions with the other games built on Tezos. We are very happy to be partner of Tezos blockchain and we believe in our success together. You can check all the new updates on sugarverse.io. And you all must know that we are very close to our public sale and NFT minting event. So stay in touch. And also, if you want to become ambassador of Sugarverse, you can follow up and write me, and we can discuss it.
Got it. I'm applying for the ambassador right now, literally. Anyway, Elizabeth, any last word from you before we end up the AMA?
Yeah, thank you. I very glad have a chance to talk with all the good gaming in Tanzania and also to explore the Genzo chains because we all know Genzo is very, very famous in the last bull market. So I think we can do something big in the this bull market, and we also very look forward to more updates of the gaming and to bring more games that really can play, not just for earn money and really can bring more Web2 people join the mass adoption. Yeah. Thank you for all your listener and thank you for the invite me to join together.
All right, cool. So, last one from me. Thank you so much for, all the listeners, the speakers, for staying up so late or, staying over time, with us in this mega space. And, this will not be the last mega space that we are hosting. There'll be more coming up, in the next couple of weeks, with other gaming projects that's building on Tezos, with other influencers, and as well. So, stay tuned to the Tezos social, and you will definitely catch us posting about not just latest news about the games, but the upcoming mega spaces. And of course, for Sugar Gaming, Better Rise, and Meta Powers, that's all building on Tezos. Check them out. They already shared what they have coming up next. A lot of interesting things that's going to happen in the next few weeks, the next few months. So yeah, check them out. And that's all from us. Thank you so much for your time, and see you guys again.
Bye, guys.
Thank you. See you soon. Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye bye.